Hello, you're welcome to my channel. Thank you for clicking on this video. And if this is your first time of coming to this channel, I am Vivian and I say a very big welcome to you and welcome back all my old subscribers. God bless you all. And if you are yet to subscribe to this channel, do so. Just hit on the subscribe button. It is free. You have nothing to lose. Subscribe to be part of this wonderful family and also turn on the bell beside it so that you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. I have a lot coming up on this channel and also have a lot on the channel already. You can go through it. So today we'll be making a bubu dress with yoke. Okay, so these are the fabrics I'll be making use of and I'll be lining it. It will be fully lined. Okay, so these are the lining fabric and this is my lace for the yoke. So I'll go ahead and cut so that you see what we have. Okay, so for this dress, the measurements we'll be using are the full length of the dress, the upper bust point, that is where the yoke will get to, the shoulder measurements, the bust circumference. Okay, so the yoke part will get to the upper bust point and the yoke sleeve will be cut together. It's a Dorman sleeve. It will be cut together with the yoke. So let's just get straight into the lesson of the day. So now I want to illustrate it on paper. So I will use my paper to illustrate what I'll be doing. So it's something you can cut directly on your fabric, like I said, but I want it to be clearer to you. Okay, so this is my paper. So now, to know the length of fabric to cut, you take the length of the yoke. So for the length of the yoke, I said it will get to the bust, that is the upper bust point. Okay, so that will be the length of the yoke, and that is the length I've cut here. Then for the width will be, now we are cutting the sleeve, that is the top, the yoke sleeve will be together with the top sleeve, okay, to be together with the yoke. Let's say this is where the yoke will get to, at the upper bust line. Okay, so the sleeve will get to that point as well. Please don't mind my drawing. Okay, this is just to illustrate. So the sleeve will get to this point. So this whole part is the yoke. Okay, this whole top is the yoke together with the sleeve. Now, to know the width of the fabric you will cut, measure from the center back, that is, place your tape to where you have your armhole. Okay, that is, you measure, because that is where the sleeve of the yoke will get to. Just place your tape at the midpoint of the person's back or at your back, and you measure like so to where you want the sleeve to get to. So this will be the width of the fabric you will cut. So you would also add allowance by the time you measure it. If you got up to, like, let's say 15, so you cut up to 16 on your fabric, okay, for seam allowance. Now the yoke part to get to this point with its sleeve, then there'll be another sleeve joined from this side as well. So let me just cut. By the time I cut, you understand it clearly. So in this case, I'll be using 16 inches for the width. That is on fold. Okay, remember the measurement you're taking is on one side. So when you place the fabric on fold, you place the measurement. So the length is the length of the yoke, which is 8 inches. So the length of the yoke is 8 inches. That is from the shoulder to the bust, to the upper bust point. Okay, so you measure that on your fabric. So you have to place your fabric on fold like so. You place it on fold and you take the length of the yoke. So it is 8 inches for me, but I'll also add ½ inch. The ½ inch will be to join it to the lower part. Okay, so that will be 8.5. So let me just measure. Let me take 9 inches. Okay. So what I need is 8.5 inches, but I've placed my fabric on fold on 9.5. So just because this is paper, so on your fabric you can actually take the actual measurement so you don't waste your fabric. Okay, so having done this, now I'll just cut it out. I'll cut out the part I don't need. So by the time you have done this, now you fold the fabric again like so. So you can decide to take your measurement. If you don't want to waste your fabric, you can just measure what you took from the midpoint of the shoulder to the part where the sleeve will get to. Okay, you can take what you have there and you fold it by 2. Okay, so I'll just fold by 2 like so. I hope this is clear. I folded this way like this, and I folded again like this. Okay, so we are cutting the back and the front together. So this is it. So you take it that way. Now I'll place the neckline. So it's just like you want to make a basic bodice. You would mark your shoulder. Okay, so I just decided to do this so it will be clear to you. The shoulder measurement of the client here is 15 inches divided by 2, that is 7.5. okay, so you just like mark your shoulder, then you take your neck width and neck depth. So I'll be using 4 for my neck width and 4 for the neck depth as well. So that is 4 by 4. Okay, so let me mark it. So this is the neck line, and just connect. So you can just mark whatever you want. You can use your French curve to do this. Okay, you can actually use your French curve, but I want it more rounded than what the French curve would give me. So let me just connect it that way. The neckline is not just what I want, so I'll follow this one that I used chalk to mark, so it will be round. So that is it. Now to this part, I said the sleeve will be extended. Okay, so but at this lower part, just place your bust circumference divided by 4. Bust circumference divided by 4 plus the ease you'll be adding. So this will be a free dress, and there will not be any zipper at the back. Okay, so the bust circumference is 40 divided by 4, that is 10. Okay, this is 10, and I'll add 1 inch for ease. So I'll add 1 inch for ease and 1 inch for seam allowance, and I have it there. So this is the main mark. Then at this side now, I said the sleeve will be extended. Remember, this is the shoulder. So I want the sleeve to also match up with the armhole. Okay, so the armhole here is 8 inches, right? That is from the shoulder, we have 8 inches. So I added ½ inch for seam allowance, which is 8.5. So this is actually the length of the yoke. So let me connect it. This is the length of the yoke. Okay, so the length of the yoke is 8 inches plus ½ inch for seam allowance, that is 8.5. Now you can decide to just mark this to help you understand. Just mark it. This is just like our basic bodice, and this is our armhole. Okay, and the bust circumference is at 10 plus ease at 11. So you can just like connect your armhole. Okay, but we're not making use of it, so that's why I'm using chalk, just to show you. So ordinarily this is your basic bodice, but I said the sleeve will be extended. So now I want the sleeve to get exactly to where the armhole is. So the measurement I have here, that is what I will use for the sleeve. So actually the paper is not enough. I'm supposed to have up to 8 inches. So I'll make it up. I'll just complete it with paper tape. Okay, so here it is. I have completed the paper. Okay, so that is what I mean by when you take your measurements. The measurement you're taking from the center back to that point should give you what I have here. Okay, so I actually know that the paper will not be enough, because by the time I measured it, I know it's not enough, but I know I could make it up since it's paper. Okay, so now this is just the sleeve part. Remember, this is the shoulder and this is the sleeve part, and the sleeve should correspond with what you have here. It should correspond with the length of the yoke. Okay, that is 8 inches. Then I added half inch because this part of the sleeve would also be joined to another part of the sleeve to make it a long sleeve. So the African prints will be joined to this side as well. So by the time you have taken this, now the sleeve roundness also, the sleeve roundness, it will be a bit close to what you have here, but I'll come up by half inch. Okay, I'll come up by half inch from this point. So it depends on what you want. If you want the sleeve fitted, then you can just take the person's round sleeve and you mark it here, but I want it a bit free, so that's why I'm coming up by half inch from the length of the yoke. Okay, so by the time I come up by half inch, I'll now connect it to this point. I hope you remember that this is the measurements. The bust circumference, sorry, it should be at this line. The bust circumference is 10 inches plus 1 inch for ease and 1 inch for seam allowance. Okay, this is where it is. So now just connect it to this half inch step up like so. Okay, just connect it to that point like so. Okay, so this is just it. Now I would cut it out. So when I cut it out and cut on my fabric, it will be clearer to you. So let me just cut it out. So I actually folded the paper to show you that this is what you will do on your fabric. Ordinarily, I'm not supposed to fold the paper, but I just showed you that you have to fold your paper like that. Okay, so this is what I'll do. So you can see this, then the neckline. Okay, so this is what we have. This is just how the yoke part will be. Okay, so the neckline and this part, and this is the sleeve. So this is where the main bodies, this is where we have the main bodies. Let me mark it clearly. You can notch it when you cut on your fabric. You can notch it because this side will stitch this side. This is where we'll join the lower part. The lower part of the dress will be joined from this side. Then the sleeve, this side will be stitched. That is, this side will be stitched and the other part of the sleeve will be joined to this part. So let me fold my lace fabric and cut out what I have there to be clearer to you. Okay, so I'll have to place my lace fabric on fold. I folded this way like this. I folded like this, and I'll fold again. So what I have here is 1 yard of lace fabric. So this is 1 yard of lace fabric. So depending on the body of the person, you can get more. Okay, so I'll place the pattern on it. Remember, this is the neckline area, so I'll place it like so. This is how it should be. Then I'll go ahead and cut it. So I just have exactly what I need. Okay, so I would cut it out. So you can actually pin it down so that the fabric will not, the paper will not move. And just pin it down. This part is actually the most important part. Okay, you can actually manipulate this other side, even if it is not, even if your fabric is not up to, the sleeve can be shorter. Okay, so I'll go ahead and cut it. Let me place it in such a way that it will be easy for me to cut. So this is what I have. I'll cut it out now. So I would notch this point where I would join. I would notch it before removing my paper. Okay, so let me also mark it with chalk. Then I'll cut out the neckline. So this is it. Let me remove the paper and open it up. So this is what I have. Open it up like so. So can you see this? So you can see what we have here. This is the neckline and the sleeve part. Okay, so now remember I notched this point and this point. So this side now will be closed up, is the sleeve. So we'll have to stitch this point and this side, okay, to this point where I notched. We'll stitch it and the other part of the sleeve will come this way and this way. Then the lower part, which is the African fabric, will come from this side. Okay, so I hope the explanation is clear. The African fabric would be from this point to this point. Okay, from this point to this point. So this other side is the sleeve. This other side is the sleeve. The sleeve will be joined here. So now for the lower part, the measurement I would use is the hip circumference, because it will be a bit full. So the hip circumference times 2 is what I'll be using for the lower part. So I will measure the hip circumference times 2. So I will also want it to a bit fuller, so I can even add more. The hip circumference is 45 inches, but I'll take 48 times 2. Okay, that will be 48 times 2. That will be 96 inches. So on the fabric, on the main fabric, I'll cut 96 inches. Okay, so somebody once asked in a video I made before that the tape is just 60 inches. How do you get more than that? It is simple. By the time you measure on your fabric up to 60 inches, you mark where you have 60 inches, then you place your tape again from the start and you continue measuring. So by the time you get to 10, that is 70 inches, and you get to 20, that is 80 inches, like that. Okay, you just continue. So I'll cut out 96 inches from my main fabric. Okay, 96 inches. I can even make it 100 inches if I want. So the client wants it very full, so that is what I'll cut out, and then I'll gather it on this upper bust line. Okay, then I would line up this lace. So the client wants it lined up, so it will be fully lined, and I have the satin for lining it up. So I'll go ahead and line it, and after lining it, I'll also use the cotton fabric to turn it. Okay, so the satin fabric will be directly under the lace, then the other lining would be for the turning. Then the lower part as well will also have lining. So let me just line up this part and we'll move from there. Okay, so you can see this, I have lined it. Okay, and then I stitched at this point. This is the point I told you stitch. So I stitched by ½ inch up, then I stitched by ½ inch up, then went this way like this, and I went this way. Okay, so this is it now. This is the bodice and this part is the sleeve. So I hope it is clearer now. So I'll just notch this point so that I can turn it easily. So I'll just notch at this point like so. Then I'll turn it to the other side. So this is it. So this is what we have. You can see the yoke part now. This is the bodice and this is the sleeve. Okay, so I'll join the lower part, then I'll check if the sleeve aligns with the same, that if it's on the same side with the yoke when the person brings her hand down. If it is not, then I'll have to trim it down a little bit. So remember, I'll be using the African print to make up the sleeve, to complete the sleeve. So for the lower part, what you do is your total length of the dress minus the yoke part is what you will cut on. That will be the length of the lower part. Then for the width, I said I used for the width I used the hip circumference times 2, though I added more because I want it to be full. Okay, so the hip circumference is 45, but I use 48 times 2. So 48 times 2, that is 96. Okay, 96 inches. So I folded it into 2 and stitched it like so. So this will be the center back. Okay, this will be the center back. So what I'll do, I'll turn it to the, let me just open it this way. So this will be the center back. So you just take any part of the yoke you want to use at the back. So you stitch this one to it. What I'll do now is to make gathers. So I'll gather it to meet up with the bodies like so. Okay, so I'll just gather. So I like using needle and thread to make my gather so that I would be in control of it. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and either you make a running stitch with your sewing machine or you use needle and thread to make a running stitch, okay, to have your gather. So by the time I gather it, this is what it will look like. So remember, you're stitching it to this, from this point to this other point like so. Okay, so I'll gather it like so, and by the time I'm done, I'll check the sleeve because it looks long to me, so it's like I'll reduce it a little bit. I'll reduce it a little bit before joining the other sleeve, before completing the sleeve. So but for now, let me make the gathers and join. So by the time I make the gathers, I will just fold the bodies like so. I'll fold the bodies like so, then notch the midpoint or just mark the midpoint. Okay, so this will be the back, and I will stitch. By the time I make the gathers, I'll just align it. Remember, it should be at the wrong side to the wrong side. That is right side to right side when I'm going to stitch it. So this will be the center back. I'll just join it. So let me go ahead and do that. It will be clearer to you. Okay. So I have gathered it using my hand needle and thread. Okay, so I'll turn this one to the wrong side because the African print is on the wrong side.
At the wrong side, mommy. Mama, is that the wrong side?
So this is it. Okay, so remember I notched. So I marked the center back or the midpoint. This is the midpoint here. So this will be my center back, which I would attach this way. So I'll use my pin to fix it, to make sure that everything aligns. So the right side facing right side, I'll just match it up. So now I can then arrange my gathers to fit in to the bodies, just round like so. Okay, so as I arrange it, I would pin it down.
Let me pin it down, mommy.
So let me just turn it this way. I prefer to pin it from the gather side so that when I'm stitching, I can be adjusting it. So I'll go ahead and arrange the gathers all round the yoke. Okay, so by the time you come to this part, you just go round. So I still have my needle and thread to be able to adjust the gathers. Okay. So I'll just go round. Okay. So I've pinned it down. Okay, I'll still make some adjustments while I'm stitching. But one more thing is this dress will be having ruffle round the neckline. That not through this neckline, but this upper chest all the way to the back. So to make it easy for me, I've decided to open up this side, the center back as well, so that I can lay this very open and work on it. So I'll just open it up together with the main this other fabric. So I'll just open it up here, and I will stitch it back when I'm done. So this is actually to make it easy for me to sew the ruffle. Okay, so I'll just stitch it by 1/2 inch. So that will not really take anything. So I'll pin this one here. Pin this one. Then I'll also open this one a little bit. So I'll open it up a little bit. So now I'll go ahead and join the gathers. So I have stitched it, and this is the inside. I've also joined the lining. Okay, so now, like I said, I opened it up because of the ruffle I want to sew this part, and the ruffle would cut across, move across the sleeve up to the chest line to the back. Okay, and I have reduced the sleeve a little bit, so I cut out 1 inch from my sleeve, and I have this. So now, and this is the lining, so I stitched it from the inside so that it will be neat here. So the next thing now to do is you can either join the sleeve or you do the ruffle, whichever one. So for the sleeve attachment, I want it to be a bit fuller, so I would measure what I have here and times it by 2 or 3. So I'll just take the round sleeve here.
So I just take this.
So I have about 16. So times 2 would give me 32. Okay, so I'll go ahead and cut the width to be 32, while the length is a matter of choice, however you want it to be. So the total length of the sleeve will be around 18 inches. Okay, so what I have remaining to join to this one is about 9 inches. So the African print I'll cut here will be 9 inches by 32. Okay, so I'll go ahead, cut it and join. Then the tip of the sleeve will be designed also with the lace, so I'll just make gathers at that edge of the sleeve. Then for the ruffle at the neckline, what I'll do is to measure from, okay, the ruffle will cut across the back, from the back like so. It will cut across the sleeve, that is like this. It will go this way, like this, like this, like this. It will come across like this and all the way to the back. So here I have 60 already, and then I'll continue like this to the center back again. So 60 plus 13, that is 73 inches. 73 inches long. That is so what I have here altogether is 73 inches. And because I want to make a ruffle, I'll have to take about 3 times of what I have there. So by the time I pleat or make gathers, it would give me the ruffle. Okay, so I have 73 times 3 of it is what I will take. Okay, I'll take times 3 of it. That's what I will use. I'll just, you can, cut and join, cut the African print, and you keep joining until you have gotten that length. So I'll go ahead and do that, and also do the sleeve, and you will see it. Okay, all right, I have cut out the sleeve. That is the sleeve extension that will be here. So to make it easy, I'll actually loosen up this side. Okay, so I stitched it initially, but I'll loosen it up to make it easy for me to pleat the sleeve extension to it. And here is my ruffle. Like I said, I have joined my fabric to get the length that I need. So you can see this. So I've gotten the length I need, and I have hemmed it, so I double folded it. So for the width, I'm using, that is the length actually. This is the length. So the width is what I had to join the fabric to get. So for the length, I'm using 4 inches. Okay, so this 4 inches, I actually cut at 4.5, so that after double folding, I'll get the 4 inches. Now, before fixing the ruffle, I'll go ahead and fix the sleeve. Okay, so I'll just open up this point, and I would pleat the sleeve to it. You know that this part is twice bigger than this side. I said I took 2 times what I have here. So that is what I would do now. I'll go ahead and pleat it, and you see the outcome. So after pleating the sleeve to this part to get the sleeve length, the next thing is to attach my ruffle. So I've sewn the sleeve extension to it, and you can see what I have here. So later I will still make flay or gathers with the lace, and that will come to this part as well. Okay, so it will just be like this at this point, at the that is at this side of the sleeve. Just have a little gathers here in the flay. So now for the to the ruffles. So you see why I said it's better to open it up. It will be a lot easier. I have prepared my ruffle. I've folded this point and folded this point as well. So what I will do is to fix it. So I joined it in two. That is, I have 2 pieces that I joined. So what I'll do is to look for the midpoint. That is where I joined the ruffle. So that will be the midpoint of my ruffle. So this will be the midpoint. So I'll just look for the midpoint of my dress. That is the yoke. By folding it. So I want to just distribute the ruffles equally. So here is the midpoint. Hope you saw that. Here is the midpoint. So now my ruffle will come this way like this. Okay. So but I have to turn it this way to stitch. Then by the time I stitch, it will come down like this. So it will be pleat. I'll pleat it. So I would love to use pin to arrange it here first, so that when I'm stitching it on the sewing machine, it will be a lot easier. So I'll just pleat. So I'll pleat it towards this side. So let me do this so that I can hide this stitch. Okay, so this stitch will be hidden here. So to go this way. So now I can pin this down here. So I'll be top stitching on it, so that when I am done pleating and bring it down, the ruffle will be like that. So I will then, by the time I have pinned this midpoint, I'll go to the back. I'll start pleating. So this is something you can actually do right away on your sewing machine, but I just want to be able to control the pleats. So I'll just use my pin to arrange the pleats. So when I go to my sewing machine, it will be just easy for me to sew it. So I'll just, pleat it while I pin it down. So this would really help me while I'm stitching it. So you can see what I'm doing. So I just pleat and I'll pin it. So I'll continue like this. Just keep pleating and pinning. It's very, very simple. So the fact the pin will go a long way to help. So by the time I take it to my sewing machine, I'll not have any problem. I'll just follow the pleat the way it is. So doing it this way will help you have control over it, to know when you have excess and know how you fold it. Okay, so you can see what I have here. So I'll just continue pleating until I am done pleating it. Now at this sleeve part, I would go this way. Can you see this? I will go on top of this sleeve, this part. So that is how it will be. So you can see what we have here. So I'll continue like that till I get to the other side. Then I'll go to my sewing machine and stitch it, okay? So here it is. I made a little flare and attached to the sleeve and a little embellishment at the neckline. Hope you like this. Please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget, if you are not yet subscribed to this channel, hit that subscribe button and also turn on the notification bell beside it so that you'll be notified whenever I upload a video. Remain blessed.